March 27th, 2023 is when the Nintendo eShop for the 3DS and Wii U is officially shutting down and will no longer let users purchase and download any new games. Now this means a lot of incredible titles won't be officially available to be downloaded, and this is particularly concerning when it comes to certain Monster Hunter games. The 3DS and Wii U is a host to some incredible classic Monster Hunter titles, and they are definitely worth purchasing if you want to experience some peak Monster Hunter, especially if you are newer to the series and want to enjoy what these older Monster Hunter titles have to offer. In today's video, I'm going to go over what titles are going to depart from the eShop, which ones you'd want to play based on your needs, why these games leaving the eShop is significant, and finally, what we should expect for these games moving forward. Let's start with the oldest game in the entire eShop library when it comes to Monster Hunter, and that is Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. As of this video, this game has been on the eShop for 10 years now. Incredible. Now, this game is unique because not only is it available for both 3DS and Wii U, you can actually transfer your save file between the two and pick up where you left off. The biggest reason this is significant is because the 3DS version does not have any online play, while the Wii U version does. So if you wanted to play it portably or play with friends through local play, you'd switch over to the 3DS, and whenever you wanted to sit your ass down and play online or a more console-oriented experience, you'd be able to swap over to the Wii U. Now, the reason I mentioned this is because the save transfer is done through an app on your 3DS that you technically download from the eShop. Even though it's free, it's still technically considered a purchase, and Nintendo stated all quote-unquote purchasable products will no longer be able to be bought and downloaded on March 27th, 2023. It could still be possible that somehow smaller apps like this are still going to be available after the shutdown, but I'd rather you guys be safe than sorry. Nintendo has stated that you can still re-download software you've already purchased in the foreseeable future, so if you already own this app or any of the games I'll be mentioning today, you shouldn't have to worry, you can still re-download them for a while. Now, why download and purchase 3 Ultimate? So I'm going to be directing most of my answers for someone that's newer to the series, coming in during either Monster Hunter World or Rise, and haven't played these games before. If you've already played 3 Ultimate or the other games I'm going to mention today, I'm sure you don't need my convincing. So 3 Ultimate was both a G-Rank expansion and a marriage between Monster Hunter Tri and the Japanese exclusive portable third, and it brought forth some monsters you may be familiar with, such as Brachydios and Lucid-Nargacuga. It reintroduces the cozy and quaint Moga Village for Monster Hunter Tri, and has you grow strong and defend it from many terrible foes. The game definitely has a charming little story. The aspect of 3 Ultimate that's the most different out of any of its successors is the fact that it has underwater combat. Underwater combat is a hit or miss when it comes to whether or not people enjoy it. At the very least, I'd venture to say it has its issues, but it's not that bad, and I personally enjoy the combat. In 3 Ultimate, there aren't that many underwater hunts compared to the hunts on land, so even if this type of combat isn't your thing, this game will still be worth your time. Something to note though, out of all the games I'm going to mention, this one definitely has the slowest start to it before you can get into the action, but once it gets started, it's a lot of fun. 3 Ultimate has a very unique cast of monsters and subspecies to hunt. Also, if you've never experienced the hunts against Gen Morn and Cedius, this is definitely something you should do. They are some of the best fights they've ever designed. Something I enjoy most about 3rd Gen in general is just how honest the combat is, especially on land, assuming you're not doing anything crazy with certain slime weapons, of course. I just feel like this game rewards a strong understanding of the fundamentals of Monster Hunter combat. If you end up getting this game and are the type to worry about min-maxing, just be wary that there is an unfortunate glitch that locks you permanently into a charm table, and in some cases that locks you out of some of the best charms in the game. There are ways to check that, and you can kind of re-roll your character until you get the one you like. Kinda annoying, but for most people you're not really gonna care about that, but I figured it was worth mentioning. Also, 3 Ultimate being an older title means at this point Insect Glaive and Charge Blade are not in the game, so if those are your mains, you may have to pick up something new for this one. Since 3 Ultimate is on both Wii U and 3DS, not everyone wants to buy both versions, so which one is better for you? I think it depends on how much you value online play. I'm going to go into the lifespan of online servers when it comes to these games later in the video, but basically if you're someone who would rather play the game solo or in person with friends, I would highly suggest the 3DS version of 3 Ultimate, mainly because of performance and portability. The Wii U version of 3 Ultimate has some noticeable frame rate issues, and the biggest issue to me is the large amount of input lag. It's quite noticeable, especially if you compare it to the 3DS version. Considering you can bring the 3DS version with you anywhere because of the portability, it makes it my choice for this game. Again, you can always just buy both copies if you want and transfer between to play however you like, whenever you like, but I wanted to mention which version I think was better suited for the people that only wanted to purchase one copy. So overall, 3 Ultimate is a great game to purchase if you enjoy or would like to try more classic Monster Hunter combat. It has a large roster of unique monsters to hunt, phenomenal siege fights, cross saves between consoles, a new experience with underwater combat, and overall has a lot of the best aspects the 3rd generation of Monster Hunter has to offer. It is a fantastic game, you should all try it, but if you could only purchase and choose one game out of all of the ones that will be discontinued in the eShop, I would highly recommend Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. The expansion to the Japanese-only Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate on the 3DS is, in my opinion, the greatest classic Monster Hunter game ever made. It combines fluid combat, vertical movement, and new mechanics in an incredibly packed game that runs 60 FPS on a 3DS. This was the first 60 FPS Monster Hunter game, and god does it feel good. 4 Ultimate brought forth a lot of unique monsters over to the West, and it has many monsters that have yet to be seen in recent iterations of mainline Monster Hunter, such as Darren Mormon, Dalamador, Gog Mazios, White Fatalis, Super Hot Crimson Fatalis, Molten Tigrex, and much more. Its entire roster is incredible, and the sheer amount of content in this game is staggering. It also introduced Insect Glaive and Charge Blade to the West, and they are OP as hell in this game. It's really fun. Out of all classic Monster Hunters, this game has the most complete and fleshed out story, taking you through many environments in a caravan searching for the source of the frenzy virus. 4 Ultimate has an incredible endgame, a huge G-Rank section ending with even more monsters to unlock and hunt through the Ancient Scroll, and topped off with the expansive Guild Quest system where you can endlessly hunt and search for the perfect relic weapon and armor. Overall, 4 Ultimate is the best mix of classic and new Monster Hunter elements, has an insane amount of content to go through, and is simply a treat to play both online and offline. If you have a 3DS, I can't recommend this game enough. This brings me to the next Monster Hunter game that is leaving the eShop, and that is Monster Hunter Generations. This is another game that's interesting when it comes to its counterpart on another console. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate is the G-Rank expansion to this game on the Switch. Similar to Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, you can actually transfer your save file from 3DS to the Switch and keep things like equipment, progress, felines. It's actually pretty cool. This is also how people can transfer over exclusive Palico and Prowler skills that aren't available in Generations Ultimate but existed in the original. Main differences between the two games is that in Generations on the 3DS, Prowlers are very strong in the game. They got nerfed pretty hard in GU, certain arts and styles got nerfed or had balance changes when reintroduced on the Switch. For example, Adept Dual Blades was busted before it got changed. It was so much fun. If you haven't played Generations Ultimate and don't own a Switch, this game is worth getting if you're into something like Monster Hunter Rise. Generations introduced the hunting styles and arts. It's a lot of flashy gameplay. It's a lot of fun once you get into it. It's nice that when you're done playing this game, you can still transfer over your progress. Just make sure to get that transfer app before the eShop shuts down. The final Monster Hunter game on the eShop is Monster Hunter Stories. I'd recommend getting this if you've never played it since it runs pretty well on the 3DS, but if you don't got the extra cash, it's no biggie. You can still download and play this on most mobile devices. So out of all the other games, this one will be affected the least. So to summarize my suggestions, I would highly recommend 4 Ultimate, followed by 3 Ultimate, and then Generations and Stories. If you can purchase all of them, I'd highly recommend you do it now and not regret it later. They are quite cheap on the eShop, but I understand not everyone's able or willing to just buy every title. I want to get into the future of online play in regards to these games. So thankfully, games like 3 Ultimate and 4 Ultimate have had the pleasure of being hosted by Nintendo instead of Capcom when it comes to their servers. What I mean by that is historically, Capcom has shut down their servers for Monster Hunter games after only a few years, and with these Nintendo servers, something like 3 Ultimate servers have been online for an entire decade. We've truly been blessed. Nintendo has stated that with the shutdown of the eShop, this won't affect online play and that it will continue to be accessible for the foreseeable future, which is good news because if you get these games before they're gone, you can still play them online long after the eShop is shut down. I do hope the servers stay up for many years to come, but the uncertainty of exactly when they'll shut down is always a little anxiety-inducing. Funnily enough, I've spoken to a lot of people who had no idea the servers were still up because of all the shutdown news over the past years, which is understandable. Hopefully, if you didn't know either, this video will help you get back online and hunt. Now that we know the servers are going to be running for a while, let's look ahead and ask what happens when they inevitably do shut down, and what if you don't get a chance to get them digitally before the eShop shuts down either? What are our options for playing these games and playing them online? Well, once the eShop shuts down, you'll still have access to the physical copies of these games to play online with. It's not like they're going to vanish. However, as many of you know, the more time passes, the pricier these games become, so it's going to be at its cheapest for the most part if you buy these digitally, which is why I highly recommend you guys get all of them now while you can. But there will come a time where you have these copies, either physically or digitally, and you can still play them offline, but the servers are gone. What do we do then? Well, we've been blessed in this community. We live in a time where all mainline Monster Hunter games have online functionality. Monster Hunter 1, 1G, DOS, and Tri all have either open access or closed beta for multiplayer, despite us thinking at one point it was impossible. And for games on the 3DS such as 3 Ultimate, 4 Ultimate, Generations, and Stories, on the Citra emulator, you can still play online with others by simulating local play. So no matter what, for the foreseeable future, online is preserved for these games, which is really cool. Unfortunately, 3 Ultimate on the Wii U emulator Cemu doesn't have online yet, but at least its 3DS iteration does. Lastly, it is possible to transfer over your save file from your 3DS to the Citra emulator and from the Wii U to the Cemu emulator, so you can carry on your progress when the inevitable day comes and you want to keep playing. Emulation makes it so most of you don't have to be too concerned about the eShop shutting down, but I know a lot of folks value playing on original hardware and on official servers and stuff, so it's nice for us to have a backup, but there's always joy in playing the real thing. I hope you guys grab these games before the deadline of March 27th, 2023, and experience some of the best that Monster Hunter has to offer. Now is the perfect time to jump in, and it's always better to be safe than sorry when it comes to Nintendo. I hope you guys keep my recommendations in mind. Let me know if you end up getting any of these games, and if you enjoy them, I would love to know. Take care, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.